Hey guys, it's Paul from online Sax Academy. In today's lesson I've put together 6 short, really effective exercises that will transform your understanding and playing of 7th chords and their arpeggios. Now these 7th chord arpeggios are basically like our normal traditional arpeggio, but now crucially we're going to add in the 7th note. So why is this useful? Well, these chords and arpeggios are everywhere, especially in jazz. If you're learning to improvise, then these are essential to help shape your lines. But even if you don't improvise, learning to play these exercises is going to give you so much more control and fluidity on your instrument. And that's because, like your more traditional arpeggios, these groups of notes come up in all sorts of music that you're playing. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with, on the alto sax, a G major arpeggio, and for tenor sax that's a C major arpeggio. But then crucially, we're going to add on the 7th note of the scale, so we end up with the 1, 3, 5 and 7. Now for the first measure of the exercise, we're just going to go up and down those notes like this. Now the next step is the crucial one. What we're going to do is take the first note and put it at the end, but an octave higher. And this creates what's known as an inversion, and this is known as the first inversion. Now we repeat that process 2 more times to complete the exercise and to have all the inversions. And this will mean that you know this chord in a much deeper way, not just in one position from the root all the time, but from starting on any of the 4 notes, going up or down. Now you can get the free PDF for all the exercises we're playing today, and the link to that is down below. Alright, so we'll put it all together now with exercise 1. Now for exercise 2, we're following that same blueprint, but instead of a major 7 chord, we're playing a dominant 7th chord. So to do that, all we need to do is lower the 7th by a semitone. The chord symbol for a dominant 7th chord is just a big number 7 after the root note. And the idea is when you see that chord symbol, you'll know straight away what the 4 notes are that make up that chord. Okay, so here's exercise 2, going up and down those 4 different positions. Okay, for exercise 3, we're now going to look at what's called our minor 7 chord type. And you can get that by lowering the 7th, just as we did with the dominant 7th, but also lowering the 3rd. Alright, let's try exercise 3 with this minor 7th chord. Now the final chord type we're going to do is known as a half diminished. We get this by lowering the 7th, the 3rd, and now we're also going to lower the 5th as well. These are really interesting sounding chords and they're used a lot when you're playing in minor keys. Okay, so have a go at the half diminished exercise. Okay, so far you've learned everything starting from G for alto sax or C for tenor sax. Now premium members at onlinesaxacademy.com will be able to download the PDFs for those 4 exercises in all 12 keys. And that would mean you could look up any of these 7th chords starting on any note. For the next 2 exercises, we're now going to put these 7th chords in the context of a really familiar chord sequence known as a 2-5-1. Now, if you're not familiar with the 2-5-1 chord progression, I've left a link down below in the description to a video that's explaining all about the major 2-5-1. There's also a link to the one about the minor 2-5-1 as well. So what we're going to do now is play up and down the chord tones for this really famous chord progression. And as we change from one chord to the next, next, we're going to move to the nearest possible inversion. Now I think this is more easily understood when you hear and see the example. Now we're doing this major 2-5-1 in the key of G for altos and the key of C for tenors. Okay, and the final exercise for today, we're going to go around the relative minor 2-5-1. So we're going to do a minor 2-5-1 chord progression going to E minor for alto saxes and A minor for tenor saxes. Again, if any of this terminology sounds a bit confusing, you've got the links to those other videos below. Now I've made a slight change to the final chord. Instead of ending on a minor 7 chord, we're actually going to end on a minor 6 chord, which is built up from the 1, 3, 5 and 6th degree. And this is a common substitution when you're playing a minor 2-5-1. What it's basically doing is making that final minor chord feel like home. It's also just a really great sound as well. If you listen to the famous intro to Autumn Leaves by Miles Davis and Kendall Ladley, they're actually outlining a minor 6 chord like this. Okay, so here's the minor 2-5-1 chord tone exercise. Now both of these chord progression exercises are also available for premium members in all 12 keys. So if there's a particular 2-5-1 progression you want to really work on and get under your fingers, you'll be able to look that up. The overall goal with all of these exercises is that when you see a chord symbol, you know straight away what your options are, and you're not limited to always starting from your root note and always going up. After playing through these exercises and even memorizing some of them, you should feel comfortable starting on any of the chord tones within a chord, going in any direction. And that will give you so much more freedom when you're improvising. It'll also have loads of other knock-on benefits as well, like better fingering technique, better tuning and intonation, and a much deeper understanding of the music you're playing as well. You'll start to recognize some of these shapes in the tunes you're doing. Okay, so let me know in the comments how you got on with this one. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future lessons, and I'll see you guys next week.